We're here with Samuel Henderson, Esports coordinator and head coach of the University of Evansville.
Yeah,
Thank you for
nice to meet
being
you.
here. And yeah, you're for sure going to add a lot of valuable information for our international students. So thanks a lot.
Yeah, no problem. I'm glad to meet and just kind of talk about our program, get to educate maybe some people who don't know about esports and what it looks like in America, and just have a lot of conversation to open up those doors.
Before we start talking about that, like, can you tell us a bit about your journey
Yeah.
into being an esports coordinator here?
Yeah. So my journey starts all the way back when I was about 10 years old, just playing with friends, playing Call of Duty, doing trick shots during MW2. Was really bad at it, and just wanted to beat my friends. So I started going online to play Call of Duty, and then that's really where my professional background came to come up. So I was a professional player in the Black Ops 2 scene, and then in the Major League Gaming circuit. And then later on, I would play Halo Reach within the same organization. Took a long break, then played collegiately within League of Legends, and then went through my college career and found a job at the university or St. Ambrose University in Iowa. And I was their FPS coach. So I was teaching Rainbow Six Siege, Valorant, CSGO, Halo, Call of Duty, all of those games. And so we were teaching and I was coaching and heading those teams up. And so now I have this opportunity at University of Evansville to kind of lead their program.
That's great. Before the recording, we talked about like what you were building and stuff, and like it sounded like student first, academics first, and then esports. Like,
Yeah.
how do you plan on and making the esports program enhance the academics of the students, like making them get good grades by motivating them with esports, or like what is your strategy there?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, kind of going back to what our mission here is at UE for students involved in esports or just UE students, we are focused on education first. You are coming here for an education, and esports might be a plus. Playing football might be a plus. Other aspects of that just is a plus. But ultimately, you're here for your education. And so that's what's most important for us. The way that we focus on that for our esports players specifically are having seasons. So like traditional sports, how maybe football will play during the spring and tennis might play during the fall, then we're going to have that for our titles or games. So Valorant is one of the games that we're kind of getting into. That'll be played during the fall, and then Rocket League will be played during the spring to kind of manage that time aspect. The other ways that we support our students is having very clear expectations of what's expected. So the days that they're going to practice, how much time, when the facility is open as well. So our facilities are only open from 9 a.m. all the way to 10 p.m., where we're having that good balance where students aren't staying up too late to kind of play games, but also have enough time to kind of relax after the day, go to sleep, have a good schedule. And then also our facility isn't open during the weekend. So that way we can truly have that break and split of time just to relax.
That's great. And talking about like practice and everything, like what would be like a day to day of a student, both in classes, practice, competition, and then do they have time for social life? Like,
Yeah. So the way that our program works is for classes. For most of the students who are in our program, they're going to be in their undergrad or bachelor's degree, and so those students take classes from anywhere from 8 a.m. all the way to 4 p.m. And there's some breaks in there for lunch and just hanging out, depending on how many classes you're going to take per day. But then after that, that's when the real kind of practice starts. So from 4 p.m. all the way to 10 p.m. Not that you're playing all through that time, but that's the time reserved for playing for competition, practicing, doing analysis review, team bonding, various things like that for the team. For a day to day, if we were to list it out for a student, it would look like waking up, taking a shower, then having breakfast, going to class, then lunch, class, and then you would just kind of end your day with whatever you want. After that, you would come over to the esports center, and then you would practice with your team for 4 hours. Then you would do a debrief of the practice, and then after that, the rest of the day is yours. Whatever you want to do, then you can keep playing, or you can just kind of leave and just go and sleep if you want.
That's great. That's great. And setting aside a bit like the competitive, like for players, like what are like some positions that students can embrace or do you have open for students to develop their skills?
Yeah, yeah,
uh, Especially international students, they think this is only for players, for esports players, but like
right.
there's other, student positions that they can pursue, and it can give them a competitive advantage in the workforce once they graduate. So like, what are the positions and how do you develop their skills?
Yeah, yeah. So something that's important to us is a holistic or well-rounded approach to education. Just because you're intelligent and you know kind of book smart what's going on doesn't mean you know how to apply that later on in life. And so this is these positions that we've developed to win with our esports program is kind of how to bridge that gap for our students.
Mhm.
So the way that we focus on this in our esports program is we have three focuses. One is that competition that we've already talked about. Two is our social aspect, where we're partnering with a club on campus called the Game Player Society, and they're going to host a lot of our weekly events just to have a really good social environment that's really supportive for our students to get involved in. Then our third aspect is our esports community competitive careers, ECs for short because it's a mouthful. And so ECs are focused on developing skills that can not just be in esports, but also in any kind of domain that they want to go into. And so the way that we support our students, and students in this category would be event planning, that would be social media management, graphic design, broadcasting, production, sports management. So everything that you could even imagine outside of esports, it would be in esports through this category. And so these students, we're still in development, but how it's looking currently right now is students who are involved in this would be mentored by faculty. And so that way, faculty who have years of experience within these fields are able to distill that knowledge and information to those students in a very intentional way to help grow that relationship by giving them, and we would give them projects to kind of work on, and then that faculty would help them guide through those projects.
That's great. That's great. What is the skills that you personally want to develop in students? Those transferable skills, so they can take when they graduate.
Yeah,
What are
yeah,
those? Just the main ones that you focus on that you
yeah.
think are very important.
Yeah, so for me, the most important skills for my players or people who are going into those EC routes are communication. I mean, I cannot praise it enough. If you're a good communicator, and not just about being able to articulate what you're saying, but also having the other person be able to understand what you're saying, and then explaining it in various different ways is super important in the modern
Mhm.
age. And so whether that's through social media, whether that's through communication, whether that's through different forms of leadership, then that's kind of what we look for. So communication in general is the one that we like to look for. Other aspects that we're developing within skills is also how to work in a team. Today is the loneliest age that because of social media, people are being more isolated and don't know how to socialize or talk to people. And so that's what we're trying to focus with being on an esports team. You kind of need to talk to your teammates and know how that works. So knowing how team bonding, talking to people, and confrontation is something that's going to be highly valued. So those two, real communication and teamwork, is something that we really focus on when being in the esports scene.
Perfect. And now, more of like, because this is more a question for parents, some students, but like schedule wise, how do you make sure that they can fit in the class, the practice, the conditions? Like, how do you create the practice schedule? Like, do you have good communications with their tutors for them, for a classes not to overlap the practice schedule? How does that work
Yeah,
in
yeah.
your
That
school?
that all comes to good conversations with academic advisors. So academic advisors and faculty members make the schedules or when the classes will be. And so we have good communications, not just from we're not in athletics, but not just from our athletics program, but also within student life, which we're under. We have good communication within that aspect. And so we make sure those classes are anywhere from 8 a.m. to 4. And so that way there's a good balance of what we would say your first shift would be in school, and then your second shift is your extracurriculars like sports, like esports, like different clubs to be involved in. So that's kind of where we make that balance. Also, within being esports, you're not competing or practicing every single day. You might have 1 or 2 days off throughout the week, so that way you can go ahead and join a club, go ahead and be involved in those intramural sports, which is just much more casual for just to enjoy the sport.
That's great. And why did the University of Evansville decide to like fall under the student life instead of the varsity, the athletic program? What were your the motivations around that? And if you can explain afterwards to international students, like what are the benefits also of falling
Yeah.
under student life? So
Yeah, so there's two ways in North America how esports normally goes. Really, there's three, but there's two major ones. One is you either go under athletics, which is very traditional sport based. The other aspect is going under what we would say student engagement or student life. And that's more focused on academic integration and more focused on education in general. So neither are bad. Both are to consider. They're both pros and cons of what's good and bad with being under. But for us, the reason why University of Evansville chose to go under student life was how we support our students. With a lot of how athletics runs, they support their students really well in a very closed environment within athletics because you're just with your team, where we want our students to be engaged with the community of UE all the time. And so with that being said, being under student life, we have different departments under us, like student engagement, like international office, as well as our study abroad program. Various departments under us to all give us really good information as well as how to engage students in not only from a social life aspect to a sports aspect as well as education. So just a well-rounded approach in all three categories.
that's great. And what are the resources? Like, let's imagine like a student, usually it never happens, but they have like a burnout between academics, esports, and something personal is going on. Do you have like academic center where they can help students? Maybe you have counselors if students are going through something, especially if they're international and they go to another continent. Everything
Right.
can be so new. Like tell me about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, and it's hard going to another country and having that culture shock. I mean, everything's new, very unfamiliar, and how to kind of make your own or be comfortable in that situation takes a long time, but it needs to be intentional during that time. And so partly is to go into my background. I was not a scholar. I had flunked out of college and gone through this whole process, but luckily, I was able to strive through and make it out. And the reason why I'm in the position that I am today is to prevent that from happening for other people. And so the way that we do that at UE is we have a lot of prevention programs to make it so that way students don't get into that position. And I'll kind of say from the two different perspectives, one before and then one if they're already. So before they get to that position, we have a numerous amount of faculty members because of the sizes of our classes. There's about one faculty member for every 14 students. Then we're being able to be really intentional about, hey, this student isn't coming to class. Let's tell other people within the administration how we can kind of engage that student a little bit better. In esports as well, we have monthly conversations with me with the student to kind of go over, hey, is there anything wrong? Is there anything that you want to talk about? Do you need any resources like a tutor? So kind of helping in those aspects. But if they ever do get to that point where there's that they burned out, they don't really want to do esports, or they're not enjoying their education here, then there are plenty of resources out here to help. We
Mhm.
have a retention office in the University of Evansville to help keep them here, to engage them, give them resources to help, and information. We also have our academic advisors. They have years of history on how to uh, uh, still get your diploma, but also excel while maybe making the dean's list, or also other things like that are high accolades within the education in North America. So there are numerous resources out here for students who are involved, who are coming internationally. We also have an international students office that really helps engage students, so that way they're feeling comfortable in the position that they
Mhm.
are, giving them resources on maybe going to church again here if they go to church, or if they go are if they go to a mosque, then going to a mosque and engaging that community, so that way of knowing where to maybe get some foods to make home foods from home, and how to be comfortable in that aspect. So there are numerous ways we engage our students in all aspects.
That's great, Samuel. And where can just wrap this up? Like, where can students find you and your program
Yeah,
on social
yeah.
media?
So if you ever go to the University of Evansville website, then you'll kind of see us there. We're updating the website, so unfortunately, we're not under those cool little tabs on the website right now, but we will be here soon. If you can't find us, then you just go to that search bar at University of Evansville and type in esports, and you'll find our our website there, and so that way it'll pull it up if you ever can't find it. Other than that, if you'd love to contact me, I know Ivan has my contact information, and I'd love to share it with anybody who's just wanting to see about our program, who's wanting to know more about my background. I'm all for helping students not just come to UE, though I'm a little biased. Obviously, I want you guys to come to UE, but I also want students to get what they want. Ultimately, University of Evansville might not be a good fit for you, but I still want to be a positive impact on your life, to maybe make a better decision on where you might fit, or if you want to go pro or amateur level within esports, what that would look like. So just being able to provide that information is really important to me.
Okay, Samuel. Great, man. Great, great, great. Well, thank you for your time, and for sure we'll stay in touch.
Yeah, for sure.